So I decided to move the Land Cruiser out. I mean, it's a running vehicle, so why not move it out, give me a little more space, floor space to work on while I work on that plow. And I rolled down this window so that I could fix the mirror, so that I could miss my truck backing out, and it came out of the track, and I thought I got it back in, but I walked back into the shop and heard this crash, and the window fell down into the door. I don't think it's broken. It didn't sound like a broken crash. It was just more of a falling crash. I guess that gives me something to work on today. But anyways, I'm gonna sweep out the shop, mess with the plow first. I have seen some snowflakes already. If it does start snowing, I might get real anxious about getting the Land Cruiser back in so I don't end up with a snow drift inside. But we're gonna focus on this for now. Oh yeah, see? I don't know if you can see that. Snowflakes are coming. There it is. I lost that off of the number 3 spark plug, I think it was. So this was one of the very first welding projects I had done on my own. Just kind of teaching myself how to weld. I created this bracket here that fits this snowplow. I found this snowplow in our yard, one that my father-in-law had, but I couldn't find a bracket that connected it to a four-wheeler, or maybe it was meant for a lawn tractor, I don't know. So what I did is I looked at the way this attached and basically saw that this had a skid plate bolted to the front of it. So I took the skid plate off and took this angle iron and created a plow attachment that bolts to where the skid plate goes. And I used to take that on and off every year, but used it enough to where I just ended up leaving this on here. As you can see, I made some attempts at structure with the different plates and angle brackets and stuff like that. This is actually where the plow connects and attaches, and I've had to kind of weld and re-weld that a couple of times. But all in all, it was a pretty successful project. The snowplow clips on there and has worked good so far. You can see how it's kind of concaved from some of the impacts that it's had over its plowing career, but it works. Still working, everything looks good on there, so I'm going to hook this up and we'll be ready to go tomorrow if we need it. Okay, we got the cruiser back in. Like I said, this window fell down into the door, got off the track somehow, and just barely I remember that this handle was broken also. So I think I'm going to try and take this all apart, see if I could fix the window, see if I could fix this handle. I'll probably lubricate everything while I'm in there, yeah, and kind of handle that stuff. Alright, I've got the window rolled up. I've got it back in the track, and I laid some adhesive in there to try and hopefully secure it back in the track. I kind of sprayed everything down with WD-40 real quick, hopefully just to let that soak in. I'm gonna run out to the parts cruiser now and see if I can find... Okay, I think I got everything. I rummaged around a little bit too and pulled this out of the dash, but I also noticed a few other parts in there that I think are going to be, well, I don't know if they'll be handy to have, but if I need them, it'll be handy to have. Got the new door latch. The only issue I'm having there is it's not wanting to spring back. I'm assuming it's just kind of friction on a few of those joints. So I've got those kind of soaked up. I'll play with that a little bit. Got the window rubber in. That all seems to be good. The window's set. So I'm going to leave it up so that hopefully that adhesive I put on there can kind of set up good. And okay, I've got this all pulled apart here. I am able to get this to actuate. I don't know if you can hear that. But it's really stiff. Which I think could be some of this, but I honestly think most of it has to do with the actual flapper itself. that there's probably, I mean, it's just got corrosion on it, stuff like that that's holding it up. So I think I'm going to try and get access to that. While I'm in here, I'm going to clean up some of these wires. I think they may have been interfering with some of these as well. See if I can get that figured out. And then I'm also going to test this switch, make sure it's working consistently, to determine if it's something with the switch or something back with the actual fan on the motor, the fan on the rear heater back there. So we'll see what we can figure out. Okay, it is, what is it? It's Friday afternoon. I'm out here in the shop, and I'm out here more for my own sanity than for anything else. I'm a little disabled at the moment. My left shoulder, that's about as high as I can lift my arm at the moment. Shoulder impingement, I think was what he called it. I was having issues with it being tight and just kind of achy and causing me some problems, and so I went in and had it worked on, and we both agreed that maybe we were a little too aggressive with how much we worked on it, because the recovery is more than I expected. That was 2 days ago, so hopefully today's the worst of it. But oh, the coats don't help either, because they're restricting my movement. But I've been doing some stretches trying to get it going, and trying to get it healed up back to where it needs to be. But for the moment, it's not feeling great. There's a lot of pain involved, and I haven't slept very good because I haven't gotten comfortable the last 2 nights, and kind of exhausting. So I finally took some pain meds to help, and decided I better get out, go for a walk, kind of get the blood moving, and toner needed a run. And what kept eating at me was a new toy that I got, and how much I wanted to play with it, and that's this guy right here. Yep, got my timing light. Right now the shoulder's feeling okay, and it's good to have a little kind of movement in it. And so I thought I'm going to go ahead and fire up the cruiser here, see if I can't get a little heat in the motor, and I'm just going to look at the timing. Well, we're going to start there at least. I'm just going to look at the timing, see if I can figure that out, and maybe play with that a little bit. A lot of this is just I'm really curious what the timing is at, and if I could see the timing marks and yada yada yada, all that stuff. So that's what I'm doing out here right now. So it's going to be hard to see. I'm not sure where the work lamp is. Oh goodness! But there's a window right back down there in the back corner of the block. There's kind of a peep window there. That's where the timing mark is. That's where I'm going to be looking for the timing mark at. There should be a line and a little tiny BB that's in the flywheel back there, and so that's what I'm going to be looking for. So if you see me aiming the gun that direction, that's why. It's not on the front. It's not on the front on the crank. It's on the back. There is where that timing mark is. So that's what I'm going to be looking at. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to do any adjustment or not, but I'm going to get this hooked up and at least look back there, see what that can tell me, and then decide what to do with that information from there. Okay, there's the BB. Okay, now I just need to see if I can tighten that up one-handed. I just moved it a little bit. I think I loosened it too much to adjust it. So I'm going to put a little tension on it. Maybe right around there. See if I can leave that wrench on and check it again. Okay, that should do it. Oh. My shoulder's saying I've had enough. I didn't use it that much, but even just leaning over and And it's amazing how much you use your shoulders. So I better not push it more than I already have. So I'm gonna leave it at that for today. I'm gonna hope that tomorrow is an improvement, because I've still got the dash completely torn apart and stuff there that I need to mess with. And anyways, I need to get going on this so I can get it wrapped up and get out and play. But I'm gonna call it for now. All right, it's the next day. My shoulder still in pretty rough shape. I've actually got more movement. So that's good that things are kind of healing up, but it's still this upward movement and out across, oh, like that, still fairly painful. So it's rough. I don't want to be a baby. I don't know if anybody else has ever dealt with this before, but it is just not, it's not fun, especially when it's a Saturday and I've got stuff I want to do. I don't want to be babying my shoulder and only doing one-arm projects, but oh, I just about did it there. I couldn't get this choke cable undone, so I had to lean over the hood to undo it, and I had this arm up there, and I was standing on a milk crate and it slid out from underneath me, and I had to catch myself with this arm. Oh, that hurt. Okay, well, even if this hurts, it's a good distraction to do it, and it's making me move this arm, which I think is good too. So I'm gonna go ahead and keep on going here. I really didn't want to have to take this dash completely out, but I think it's gonna be the way to go. I'm this far into it anyways, and I think it'll be a good opportunity to kind of clean up the wiring that's back here a little bit. Understand how this all fits together, really work over these climate controls well. Just a lot of stuff. So this is the fan box, what I was calling, they call this a squirrel cage right here. This is the piece that broke on it, so that shows me this is pretty brittle. So I think this probably had a felt liner on it, kind of a sweeper, that's just kind of wore down and beat up, and so I think that's part of the problem, is that sweeper would act as a buffer against the metal on metal and allow it to sweep back and forth easier, and it's just binding up. The reason why I think that that's the biggest issue, set you down here, is because I've got these controls out now. This is the recirc, and before this was like all I could do to move these back and forth, and now they're clipping back and forth kind of easily. There's a little bit of binding in there, so I think lubricating this will help. Lubricating the cables will help, but that fresh to recirc, that was the worst part right there, trying to get those to go. So anyways, this way I can kind of work everything over and get it handled. So, oh, one other thing, I might get canceled for this, but this star right here, that's one of the memories that I have of this Land Cruiser, is sitting there and reading that, seeing that star there on the dashboard. I don't know why, I thought that was the coolest thing in the world. I think I'm going to try and super glue that on there to make it a permanent fixture. Right now it's just like a magnet. Well, it looks like maybe it had a sticky on there, but I want to make sure that never goes anywhere, because that's like, I don't know if you call that a core memory or what, but one of the things that I really remember about this Land Cruiser growing up is that star there on the dashboard. Okay, I fiddled around here a little bit more. I think I need to run to the parts store and get a good lubricant for this deal here. I want to make sure I do it right, because if you use the wrong product on it, then it'll like attract dirt and grit and stuff like that, and give you more do more harm than good, I guess. So I'm not going to be able to get to that today, or at least not right now. I'm going into town later today, so I'll save that trip for that. So I think honestly what I'm going to do is pull the Land Cruiser out and bring Sami in, because I've got a couple of things that I want to do, need to do on Sami, and that are fairly simple. I often forget how much smaller Sami is compared to the Land Cruiser. It kind of seems like it's similar in size because I think the bigger tires and just a more aggressive stance and stuff, but when you bring it into a space like this and realize how much you have on either side and behind, yeah, it's quite a bit smaller. That's what makes it so much fun out in the hills, is this thing will just go anywhere. Four-wheeler tracks, anywhere you need to stick it, it'll go, and you don't have to worry about it. So anyways, I am going to start pulling this stuff apart here and replace it with the new item that I got, and I'm hoping that I don't really have to redo much of the wiring on it. I think I should be able to just basically take this switch box out, and then the display, the button housing, I don't know, switch housing, take that out and replace those two things, and we'll be in good shape. Okay, that's all working, so I'm just gonna button everything up, put it all back together, and hopefully it'll still work when I've got it all back together. All right, we got this all cleaned up in here, put back together, and mounted up out of the way, so we're good there. And then let me show you where I put this. I don't know if you ever saw this finished product or not, but there's that panel there. And then we'll turn the key on, lights up, shows you what's going on. Pretty slick. I think that's gonna work. So far everything's working properly. I'm hoping it continues, but we'll try it out for a while and see how it holds up. Well, surprise, surprise, I've lost audio again. Really frustrating. I'm sorry about that. Let me explain kind of what I figured out here. This is the air box with the fan in it, and that's where the sweeper goes back and forth to choose between recirc and fresh air. So I've got this ear that broke off that I need to glue back on so that when I put this box back together, all that is secure. So right now I'm cleaning up that flapper because I'm going to apply some Velcro to it so that it sweeps back and forth a little bit easier. Figured it was a good chance to run toner a little bit too. Here's the cleaned off flapper. You can see that top edge nice and shiny. You can also see the bow that was ground in this from sweeping back and forth for so many years. I think that was falling into the fan cage and getting hung up and making it hard to switch back and forth on the panel. So now I've stuck the Velcro on it, clamped it in a vise, and we've moved on to cleaning up the control panel, sticking baggies on so that I can get some good lubricant down into the cables, make sure everything's switching and functioning smoothly on that. Worked out really good, actually. And we get audio back. Okay, it's the next morning and I'm back in here. Just getting the place warmed up, got a fire going. It's assembly time. Time to put everything back together and see if the cleaning and lubricating and the addition of the little Velcro pieces, all that stuff, see if that all... I wonder if I'm going to get in trouble for saying Velcro. They're not a sponsor. But it is actual Velcro brand, just so you know. I'm not just hook and loop, you know. Anyways, sorry, they're not a sponsor. But anyways, I got all that stuff ready to go, so it's just time to start putting it all back together. I think the way that I'm going to do this is start with the dash, clean up the wiring behind the dash, and set the control panel back in, feed all those cables where they need to go. I do need to play with, I was thinking last night while I was sitting in my chair, I do need to play with that bottom flap too, that does the, what does it do? Vent to heat, this one here, because it's not pulling. Is that it? No, it's this one. It's the defrost to fresh. where you can, anyways, the defrost panel that directs that, I need to play with that flap also because it's one that's getting hung up. And so I need to mess with that a little bit, but all that's inside. So I think I'm going to start there, get all the cables fed, see if I can get all that stuff figured out. And then once I've got the cable fed up into here, because I've got to be able to get it into that little clamp there and get it hung there, then I can put the box back together and see if we had success. So I'm gonna get to it. Okay, I had to take the dash out again to hook up the choke. I forgot that it had a nut that had to go on the back side of it, and I tried reaching up behind there, but cut up with my hand, and it was just wasn't happening. So I had to pull it out again, get that put in. But now I think we're all set. So I kind of checked everything. We've got our fans working. This is cycling pretty good, so you can hear that flap. So that's cutting off, and then we've got fresh air pulling in, and then defrost is lifting all the way up. So, but that's flapping, so figuring out the hoses and stuff, that'll be easy. And then switching from vent to heat, that's flapping, working smoothly, so that's great. I don't know if you can hear that, but the rear heat's kicking on. This switch is a little finicky. I don't know if the contacts on it need to be redone or cleaned up or something like that, but it's working. So I just crawled underneath the dash, and sure enough, there is another vent here for the driver's side defrost. No wonder it wasn't working very good. So it looks like I'm missing 2 hoses. And I'm not sure if maybe there's even a third one, or if that, I'm kind of think the passenger side splits into 2, which I don't know why. I don't know why Toyota did it that way. That seems weird to have like each vent along the dash fed by a different hose versus connecting them all together in a channel or something. But I don't know. Anyways, that should be really simple though. Just see if I can find one of those hoses, or probably even just the standard flex hose would work underneath there, and then I can get all those blowers working for along the dash, which will be a really big help. I had a snowstorm a couple of months back that I thought I'm going to drive the Land Cruiser today. It'd be fun to take it in the snow, and so I got in it and fired it up, and between the heater issues and the defrost not working, I found that you really need wipers, because my wipers weren't working either when I set off. And I started driving down the road, and sometimes the fuses are kind of finicky under there, so I thought, well, I can get down there and kind of play with it while I'm driving. Messing with the fuses, can't get it going, so I pull off the highway, cannot figure it out, but I thought, well, that's still not too big of a deal. I'll just, you know, wipe off the windshield and drive. But these flakes were huge, and I had to stop like every half mile, wipe off the windshield again, drive a little bit more, because the defrost wasn't working. So there was just snow piling up on the windshield. The wipers weren't working. It was, yeah, it was kind of a mess. So I'm really excited to have all this stuff kind of functioning and working together. And the ironic part of it is I think we're headed into spring now. So probably won't end up using any of it until next year. But I think, well, I guess there is one function that I might use. I think the recirc and the fresh flapper not working might make a difference, because I've noticed during the summer that it's pulling in hot air. And so I think maybe what I've done will kind of help that problem, and I don't know. We'll see. Anyways, so yeah. So a couple of hoses and that should be solved. I'm going to finish putting this stuff together.